has become a truism that there is really only one constant. Change. This chapter explains what it is like to exist in a constantly changing work environment and what we can do to use this transition to our productive advantage. We will also look into how this chapter directly relates to some of our cultural beliefs. It is easy to get overwhelmed by change, which is why most companies usually resist it. So let's break down what change looks like to better understand how we can deal with it. Change always overlaps. There is the end, the neutral zone, and the new beginning, but each phase exists at the same time as the others. Simultaneous or constant change, on the other hand, makes things more complex by overlapping many changes at once, creating additional changes that spin off from other ideas already occurring. Because of all of this overlap, a good manager is like a conductor leading an orchestra of change. Despite this, we as humans are hardwired to adjust to new and higher levels of change. Because if you think about it, the lack of change itself is a change. So in spite of all of this, how can we make change easier? Luckily, this chapter outlines 7 ways where we can focus in order to deal with nonstop change. Number 1, postpone any extra or planned changes. What this doesn't mean is one change means we just change everything. Beware, some people can get hooked on the adrenaline of change. That is dangerous. Instead of changing everything at once, prioritize what needs to be changed and postpone everything else that doesn't directly relate to your overall objective. Number 2, foresee as much as you can. This is not easy to do, because change is constantly happening. You're most likely encountering a new change just as soon as you've adjusted to the previous one. There are 2 ways we can make it easier: life cycle forecasts and worst case scenarios. What is a life cycle forecast? Basically, it is understanding the expiration date to everything: your products, your workforce, and your ideas. Here's an example. What about worst case scenarios? Simply planning for the unexpected. Which is pretty self-explanatory. Number 3, make changes the norm. Oftentimes, getting people to deal effectively with nonstop change demands that they have to develop a new mindset, which is not an easy task. Once again, this chapter outlines ways where we can help our team adapt to this more easily. It is the manager's job to provide the oversight to any change. Without it, expect chaos. Like riding a bicycle, the continuation of anything depends on change. Your bike wouldn't move unless you were constantly in balance. Change is always happening, even when it doesn't feel like it. Number 4, clarify your purpose. In times of nonstop change, stability is crucial. It is important to define: who are we, and what are we trying to do? But first, our team needs to know the difference between our purpose and our objective. Here at Sears, our purpose is to be a leading integrated retailer of full-line and specialty retail stores, including Shop Your Way. Our objective is to serve, delight, and engage our members while they shop their way. Which leads me to the first way in which this chapter directly relates to our cultural beliefs. Show pride. You might remember that this belief calls us to engage our members, demonstrating pride and passion by leading by example. If we can bring clarity to who we are and what we are doing during major change, we can all understand how we contribute to the larger whole. This makes it easy for us to show pride in the work that we do. If we don't understand the relationship between purpose and objective, and why our purpose drives us, change will be even more difficult in the long run. Number 5, rebuild trust. This is the next example of how this chapter relates to our cultural belief of earning trust. We work hard to earn the trust of every member we serve and of every coworker we interact with. Like change, trust is multifaceted. It is both inward and outward. Keep in mind that we can only control the outward trust that others have for us. So how do we become more trustworthy? Do what you say you will do. If you can't follow through on something, explain yourself. Listen carefully. Understand what matters to people. Share yourself honestly. Ask for feedback and knowledge. Don't push others to trust you. Trust others. Friendship does not always equal trustworthiness. And finally, tell the truth. Number 6, unload old baggage. Change is like a low-pressure area of a weather map. It attracts all of the volatility in the area. Letting go of any old problems before you take a new challenge is the best approach. And finally, number 7, sell problems, not solutions. If we try to pretend like we don't have any problems, it will be very hard to convince our team that we need solutions. Likewise, if everyone can agree to why a problem is a problem, you won't have anyone choosing sides when it's time to find a solution. This makes problem solving much easier and much more efficient. We've all heard this one before. If you want to be part of the solution, get involved. If you don't complain. The more involved our team is, the better we will all react to change. To summarize what we've discovered in this chapter, change is hard, but we are all equipped to deal with it. We can make change easier by looking to the future, planning, including your team, and being trustworthy.